Have you ever been worried about where your next client's going to come from and if they can afford your service? You know who has a lot of money? The government. And we're going to talk about ways where you can get government contracts that might be pretty lucrative for you if you haven't thought about it before.
Hey, welcome back to Blunt Force Business. I'm Brian LaFauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And today we're going to talk about government contracting. Not the big, scary government contracting, the kind, friendly, gentler government contracting.
Nice.
That's my way of entering into it.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, right out the gate.
Yeah, nice.
You know, a Blunt Force fact for today is big government can mean big money. But it could also mean big, scary for some people.
As we film, not to date everything we do, but we have a pretty important figure in our country named Elon Musk.
Who?
He's the most richest person in the world.
Yes.
And primarily propped up by government contracts right now for his two biggest businesses.
Yes.
Electric car industry, where he gets a lot of government subsidies, and space travel, where he is being funded by the government.
And now a member of the Doge.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's in the middle of the Department of Government Efficiency. But I think the point taken is that if you can get in, we talk about bureaucracies and relationships and how, it can hurt lawmaking and can be kind of cumbersome when you're trying to get through red tape. Mm-hmm. But if you can get one of those relationships, then you have the benefit of it, right? Because now you're in, and it's like, well, how are they going to get you out? Well, somebody has to get elected. So you can even a lot, we're always like, oh, so-and-so has the job even though they're not good at it. Well, how are we going to get them out? Well, until the person who hired them is not running the government anymore. It's like there's advantages to this.
And the
without being cynical,
right? And we talked a little bit about this with our friend Ian Abreu when we talked about public and private partnerships, but we didn't really go into. We didn't just focus solely. And today's focus is on getting you demystifying for you the process and the benefits of government contracting, and how you can step into this and be prepared for it. I have had the approach of government contracting that, I think without a doubt, there's camps. There's people that come to us for business support, and they are before they even have their business, they'll come to us to start up, and they're like, yeah, I want to get government contracts. The first thing out of their mind, it's not out of their mouth. It's not even and I'm like, cool. Doing what? What are you doing? And they now, granted, they know what they want to do,
right?
But all I'm trying to point out is that's the lane. And I think what some people, they fall into the other camp of not thinking about that,
right,
or not feeling I don't think there's a lane for us there, or this and that. Our goal today is to impart on you that there is a space in government contracting for pretty much every business, as long as currently, if you're in the cannabis industry, you're out of luck right now because of the federal laws. But maybe at one point in time that will change. And if you are in the strip club industry, you might also not have good luck in the government contracting realm. Besides those two, drugs and strippers.
Are you sure those people aren't making money?
They're making plenty of money. I'm just saying they might not get a government contract. That's all I'm saying.
I have a couple examples of this as well, where a lot of times the challenge is working. If I'm contracted out to a small business, then a lot of times just to get the contract, I might have to promise certain things, and there might not be an appetite over there to wait for results, because it's one person. And they're just I need results, I need results, I need results. And then if they decide not to pay, even though I might be in a 6 to 12 month contract, and they're just you know what, 5 months in there, it's I'm just I'm out. And I was well, I could take myself out of it. It's I did everything I said I was going to do. You said you were going to pay me for 6 months, pay up. And then they don't. I'm not in a great position to do anything about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My couple of times working with government contracts is a little bit different, where it's the contracted party just gets government funding. Like I just got this check for whatever from the government and I have to spend it. I have to figure out how to spend it, right? I'm going to spend it with you. Okay, great. What are the results? I don't know. We just have to spend it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just like a way different environment. It's like, we have to spend this money before before whatever date, before June 1st. We said we had to spend this money. If we don't get this money out of then it's gone.
Yeah.
So we have to spend it. It says give it to you.
Yeah.
It's like right here.
Yeah.
Here you go. And what are the results? Like, do I think I did a good job with that money?
Right,
yes.
right.
But it's a way different environment. You know what I mean? Like, so like it's like a whole different thing. And a lot of times, if I broke down the amount of money I was making per hour, which a lot of marketers are hourly, I don't always do that, which is maybe not the best thing. Like if I broke it down by hour, a lot of times that money is better for me.
Yes. Now, can you get yourself into a contract?
Yeah, I'm not worried about chasing them because the government already paid me. I mean, like all that stuff is like a whole different thing. There might be sometimes you might have to wait for the money.
Well, that's what I was just going to mention.
Right.
One of the things you really need to be aware of and just prepared for is a lot of times the payment schedule might mean that you have to self-fund a good amount of this up front before you're going to get that first check.
Yeah, when I sign a contract, a lot of times it's just like, here, as part of the signing, you must fill in a credit card. Whereas like a couple of times I've worked with local government, it's like before signing, we have to go through this process of getting the payment before we can pay you. So you're gonna have to just do the work.
Yeah. Yep. And typically, I mean, you could be very easily looking at 90 days, waiting. And so I've seen people put themselves in a position where they weren't prepared for that and struggled.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I need that money to come in. So you do have to be prepared. But if you know that in advance, then you can, one, either prepare for it, or two, you can only take the contracts that structure for you in a way that works for you. But our goal today is really to talk through the concept of what can you do right now that is not very time consuming, right? Small buckets of time where you can get your company set up so that way if an opportunity comes up, you're prepared for it. So the first thing that we recommend, and we should have had bullets for this one too. 5 things you need
whatever.
to do,
I mean,
right?
like I think it's a discussion, right?
Yes.
Intro to this for people who might not be thinking about it.
Yeah. So the first thing you need to do is you need to be very well aware of the federal SBA resource that is out there, referred to as the Apex accelerators. The Apex accelerators were formerly referred to as the PTAC, PTAC. I hate acronyms. BFB.
You do hate acronyms.
But the PTAC was the Procurement and Technical Assistance Centers, and they're one in every state. Okay, so they changed their name now. They're the Apex accelerators. Their whole role is contracting. They are a free resource available to business owners to help you get prepared for contracting. Now, they have a caveat, and that caveat is you need to be in business for 2 years before they will start to support you. Why is that? Because if they're going to put you in front of someone for a contract, you have to show the capacity to deliver the work, and that's tough to do if you have not done any work yet, right? So
now, this is something like, again, like I've dealt with government agencies and I have not had to do any of this.
Right.
So this is a way of just kind of, if you don't know how to get started, this would be a way to kind of get yourself in front of people.
Yep. And not only just get yourself in front of people, there are government contracts that I've gotten out there that have just been like completely outside of the bucket of what I'm about to tell you.
They found me through Google.
Yep. However, there are government contracts that I got that required me to be set up in the system. And I'm going to tell that story in a little bit. And had I not been, I would have lost the opportunity because they needed to deliver on it in a shorter period of time, right? So Apex accelerators are your best friend. And you made a good point. You're like, I didn't use them. Well, I want you to use them. I want you to connect with them. And I was on a call yesterday and there was a company on the call. It was on contracting, and they had been doing international sales for years. Pretty large company, doing really well. have a number of Department of Defense contracts. They never heard of the Apex Accelerator. To me, that's an epic flaw.
Right.
Because if you're doing this well without them, and they actually came on the call because they're recertifying and they were having trouble. And when I first did the first step, which is the first step is to get your business registered through the SAM, the System of Awards Management that the government uses to like house all of the companies that are registered for government contracting, right? So you got to get like certified through SAM. I called the Apex Accelerator. They literally came and sat with me and brought up my computer and they told me in advance, hey, before we come, get these documents ready because you may need this document, that document. Okay. I did that. They sat next to me and they just went through the whole process. And it just, a couple hours of my time made it super easy. If I had done it on my own, I would have sat there like you frequently do because it's not the most user-friendly.
Right.
Believe it or not, it's a government website that is not super user-friendly. But if you have the person that knows how to use it, it's easy.
Right.
Right? So they got me all set up. Then the next step that they did was now there's a search engine. So you can put all this information in the search engine and on a daily basis, it'll feed you an email like, hey, this contract came out, fits what you're looking for. Pretty fairly accurate, right? Keyword driven, same thing. If I had done it myself, it would have been, it's clunky. I would have taken forever. My counselor asked me a few key questions. I answered them, sent them back to him. He emailed me back about a week later. He said, you're all set. I set up your search base. You should start getting it. Within a day, I was getting emails to my thing, right? So that whole process took me about maybe 3 hours total over the course of a year. Once a year, you got to recertify. That recertification process takes me maybe 25, 30 minutes once a year. I had that up and running for 4 years, doing nothing with it. I just had it up and running so that if, we were talking earlier, right? The luck is when preparation and opportunity meet, right? Mm-hmm. And then we went with big government can be big. But the reality is that is 100% the truth. One of the better contracts we got, when we got it, one of the first questions they had, we were going through the process with them. It had been very organic how they found us, right? But we had to be in that system. And we always talk about networking, right? Networking is the way you get these contracts anyways.
Right.
But we had to be in that system. And when I was asking them, well, how long of a process before I would be certified with your organization? And they're like, they gave me I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, whatever. I'm like, all right, where's the biggest gap? And they said, well, we got to get you into the SAM system and also certified as a state vendor. Mm-hmm. I said, I already did that. I've had that for a number of years. Oh, okay. Then we could probably get you up and running in 2 weeks. So it went from months to 2 weeks.
Right.
And it would have, it would have delayed our ability because we had to deliver within a time period that they were looking for. So if we had lost 4 or 5 months of that, we weren't going to be able to recoup that.
Right.
Just the nature of the way the contract was. If you take 3 hours, about 3 hours the first time, maybe a half hour every year, so a total of six hours over 4 years that I'd spent on that, I made that back 100-fold just by being prepared.
Right.
And I think that's what I would love to see all our listeners do. Government contracting is not an all or nothing business. It's an opportunity, like many other opportunities out there. And just like everything else you would do in your business, preparing yourself for the potential for that opportunity is something we highly recommend. And the starting point is just start by getting yourself set up in SAM. And then maybe look at your state and see if you get yourself set up in your state as well.
Right.
And those are two really good starting points. And then from there, you can look at getting certified as like a veteran-owned business or a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business. Or if you live in a disadvantaged area, you can get certified as a hub zone business. All of those open up special contracting lanes where opportunities like are a little easier for you.
I think this is good for, there's a couple of use cases for this. Number one is for companies that are working with low-paying vendors, right? The low-paying clients, right? Where it's like, this could be more lucrative than the low-paying, and it could be a better, because of the fact that you would then be part of a network. If you do a good job, you could potentially get more work out of it, right? So you're talking about this natural referral system within municipalities and governments, nonprofits, all these things that would take advantage of these government contracts. But also, again, like if you're just worried about cash flow, or maybe another version of your business. Maybe it's like you are a business, you work with private industry, and you have good business there. This could be like an offshoot of that, like almost like a separate, like, okay, we have our private and then we have our public, right?
Absolutely.
We work with public sector.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, so it's like, maybe that's not as lucrative, but maybe it's more like, it's more guaranteed. I mean, it's like, oh, we have this contract. We're not going to lose that as long as we don't freaking screw it up and the government doesn't get thrown out. And after an election, we're freaking good. I mean, especially when we're working with local municipalities where you could
can
have like
develop a whole government division.
Yeah.
And it could start from one simple opportunity.
Yeah.
Because that is the other piece that I have found is in that space, if you get in and you deliver a good product, there is very minimal desire for them
change
to change.
Yeah.
They're happy.
They don't want to change, especially since they have to go through a process just to get you in.
Right. It's not
so getting
easy.
you out could be hard. Finding somebody new and putting them through.
So if you do a good job with it, the ability to get repeat, and then also the ability for them to help you navigate other agencies, other systems is so much easier once you've done it once.
So what would your takeaway here be as we wrap this up here? What's the starting point?
Is this. And we didn't talk about this last thing, but I just want to drop it as a seed, and you can ask if you're a business owner, you've been in business for a couple of years, and you haven't even thought about this, there's government buys everything. Start by reaching out to your Apex accelerator in your state. 2, get yourself, with their help, set up on SAM, the System of Award Management, okay? And 3, and they'll tell you this as well, start developing your capability statement. Your capability statement is like a 1-page resume of what your company can do. It has a little specific format of it. The Apex accelerators will give you templates. They gave me a template. I kind of filled it out. It's a nice little requirement for contracting. People want to see what your capabilities are, what work you can do, because they'll sometimes search for you as well when you're in the system. So you're going to search for them, but there may be a contractor somewhere that says, hey, we need this thing. Let me see who's in the system. We have to find someone in the system. That's how it works. So let me see someone that's in the system that does it. And so while you are searching for opportunities, they would also potentially search you up. So those are the 3 starting points to dip your toe in. Get rid of the concept that this is an all or nothing game. It's not, but it's an opportunity that if you spend a little time could bear some really great fruit, because big government can be big money.
And you just asked Mr. Elon Musk, who makes a ton of money from the government.
Absolutely.
Not just our government, all the governments.
All the governments. Good stuff.
Right. Awesome.
I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Till next time.
Thank you.